Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for coming to our webinar on the power of remote presence for audits and inspections. My name is Jenna Clark, and I am the marketing manager for Amiv, and Avatour is our product. I will be taking your questions throughout the webinar, and we will be addressing them as many as we can at the end. Devin Copley, who is the CEO of Amiv and co-creator of Avatour, will be giving a 5 to 10 minute presentation, and then we'll be going through a live demo to show off remote presence. So if you want to get started, go ahead, Devin.
Thanks, Jenna. Thanks for coming, everybody. I see we have attendees from all over the world. It's early here in California, but glad to have a chance to chat with you all. So I think Jenna just pointed out our agenda. We'll talk through what remote presence is for, its application for site-specific meetings like audits and inspections. We'll give a quick sort of functional and technical overview of the Avatour platform, then a live demo, and finally we'll speak about questions. So the reason why we built Avatour is because video conferencing is a perfectly decent solution for the kinds of meetings that happen in conference rooms. But a lot of meetings don't happen in conference rooms, and those meetings don't have a good solution. Video conferencing fails for the kinds of meetings that need to happen on site, whether that's at a manufacturing facility, on a job site, or potentially at a supply chain location. The inspections, audits, quality reviews, compliance reviews, site-specific training, these kinds of meetings have always had to happen at a physical location, and that has involved travel. And the reason why is because the context is an important part of the meeting. You need this to see the place, not just the face. And as a result, people travel a lot. Remote presence is a new solution that's been designed to enable remote communication specifically for these site-related meetings. It is a location-immersed collaboration platform that is exploiting the newly available technologies of 360 capture and virtual reality to allow remote people to visit a real place in real time and talk to the people in that place as if they were next to them. We're using off-the-shelf, inexpensive hardware that works with most smartphones, and users can join from anywhere in the world using a VR goggles if they prefer, or using a web browser on any laptop, desktop, or mobile device. Remote presence is being used today for a variety of applications, and these are some of our customers. We launched the product in September of last year in beta and in general availability in March of this year. And these are all sort of among our earlier customers. Thermo Fisher Scientific is using Avatour for quality control and client reviews across a variety of different installations within the US and Europe. They use it also for some marketing purposes for their customers, their contract manufacturer. The FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, is using it for safety and functional inspections of radar installations, and some of these are in rather exotic locations throughout the US that are quite difficult to access, and the ability to bring not just one person but maybe multiple people along without sending them on an airplane trip to the Aleutian Islands or something like that is a very valuable feature for them. Velodyne LiDAR is using Avatour for remote supervision and sort of on-the-job training for their manufacturing facility in Thailand. They actually have two versions of our kit, one at their facility in California and the other in Thailand, so that the Thai workers can observe the procedure as carried out by the personnel in California, and then they swap, and the California personnel can supervise the Thai personnel as they try to repeat the same procedure. And Colgate-Palmolive recently started working with us for quality and safety inspections throughout their supply chain. The key features and benefits of the Avatour platform The features are, as I mentioned, this immersive experience of a real place in real time, and we'll show you this in the demo. You're able to look completely around and see the entire space. The 360 capture hardware is inexpensive, easy to deploy, easy to use, requires no particular technical expertise. We typically do a 30-minute orientation session for the folks who are operating the system, and then they're ready to do it on their own. No particular hardware is required to join a session. You can join with a web browser, just as you did for this webinar, or you can use the VR headset, which we'll show you as well. And then within the Avatour session, you have a set of collaboration tools that make it easier to get your job done. We have some annotation, snapshot tools that allow you to record the action items so that they can be acted on after the meeting. The key benefits, quite clearly in the COVID era, travel has become more difficult than it ever was before, and the need for alternatives to travel is higher than it was before. But it's important to note that travel has always been expensive and time-consuming. It impacts productivity and work-life balance, and it impacts the environment as well. And so even ex-COVID, or when we all are able to revert to something approaching normal, Avatour remains an important tool in your kit to enable these kinds of inspections and audits. So how does it work? We are not a hardware company, we are a software company. Avatour is a cloud service that we operate that provides the capability to have these meetings. You can think of it similar to Skype or Zoom or like Click Meeting that we're using today. It's a cloud service. We sell subscriptions to the cloud service. The requirements are modest. For the host, you need a 360 camera and a mobile phone. We support a variety of Android devices. Our Apple iOS version will be coming out in just a couple weeks in beta. So we will support the vast majority of devices. And then on the client side, you can use a web browser on any device or the Oculus Go or Oculus Quest headsets. We can support up to 5 remote users who are participating anywhere in the world with a low latency interactive feed. And we can support more than 5 users who have only access to an audio interaction and aren't displayed as video to the other users. Avatour is built for enterprise deployment. We've built it with security and privacy in mind. We use encryption broadly throughout the platform. All persistent data, including usernames, emails, is encrypted both in transit and at rest, so it's not stored in any way that can be easily stolen. All our video and audio streams during a session are fully encrypted. We have some new features coming online in Q3, specifically designed for our enterprise customers, including session recordings, which will be stored in an encrypted and rest fashion. We won't have access to those assets. And SAML OAuth for single sign-on integration. We are GDPR compliant for privacy. On the scalability side, we're running much of our architecture on Amazon Web Services with the scalability and reliability that comes along with Amazon. We also have a parallel low latency streaming network, which is globally distributed with, I think, around 24 separate ingest points around the world to maintain that low latency communication. And if there's questions on the technical or security aspects, we can answer some of those more in the Q&A. So without further ado, I think we'll jump into the demo. Jenna, do you want to introduce that while I get set up here?
Hi, everyone. We are going to be running a live demo to simulate an inspection of of Prasad, who is our CTO. We're going to be at his house. We would have loved to do this at a manufacturing site or somewhere, but due to COVID, we had to do it at our homes. But it will give you the idea, and you'll be able to see the Avatour experience.
Okay, very good. So if you join from a web browser, the experience is quite simple. You type in avatour.live, or perhaps you get an invitation with a link, and then you have a video code. In this case, this is not an authenticated session. And we are able to join Prasad on his deck. There we go. Where is he? Hi, Prasad.
Good morning, Devin.
It looks like a beautiful morning there in Fremont. I see you have Ace. Hello, Ace. So as you can see, I can look all the way around.
Hi, Jenna.
Oh, it looks like Jenna's joined as well. Jenna has joined in a headset, so we can't see her video, but I'll show you how she appears later on as an avatar. I have the ability to look around, and Jenna, of course, can look around separately. You can probably see her on your screen there. Yeah. We do have a little bit of zoom available, so I can zoom in on some of the details in the space. Let's see what Ace is up to here. He's pretty mellow this morning. I don't ever see him that mellow. Hello, Ace. Prasad, maybe you could tell the folks about how the host works and some of the host features.
Absolutely. So what makes this experience vastly different from a standard video conference is that as the host and the remote participants share the same space. So the host can see what the remote participants are looking at, what they're pointing at. I have the orientation of the remote guests on my display, and we share a context of the space. The kit itself is fairly light and portable. It's a 360 camera and a selfie stick, making it something that I can easily walk around with and show the remote guests what they'd like to see. So, for example, a remote participant can direct me to go show a particular feature or ask questions about framing and so on. The host can also share assets into the session, so I can pull up an inspection checklist, which should show up as an overlay on the guest display. Or I can, for example, pull up a framing plan or 3D renders of the deck that you're witnessing. And we can use this and cross-reference it to the space that you're viewing together. And I'll invite Devin to talk a little bit more about the tools that are available to the remote participants within the VR headset.
Great, thanks, Prasad. So I'm just going to switch over now. Obviously, we can't put headsets on all of you, but I am going to instead show you what I'm seeing. And this is the first time we've done this, and hopefully it works. We're running a stream from my headset. There we go. All right, you should be able to see that. Cool. All right, so I'm going to put the headset on and talk you through the headset experience. So I'm going to join the deck inspection session that we set up earlier with Prasad. And turn on my mic. There we go. Okay. Oh, hi, Jenna.
Hello. Welcome.
So as you can see, Jenna now appears as a avatar, and we can see each other. We can see what each other are looking at in the space, and we can collaborate on solutions. So let's, for example, say that we want to. Here, Jenna, look around to the left there. That lamp over there is something that I think it's not up to code. So let's circle that, and that can be something that we can track later. And we can grab a image of that to record our action item. So that gets stored in the cloud for later use. And while we're at it, let's just get a profile here of Prasad. He's a very handsome man. Oh, you turned. No longer a profile, but we got that. So those are some of the tools that are available. Of course, I also have access within this session to all the assets that were part of the original, setup. So, for example, I can load up the framing plan, and we can look at that while we are reviewing the deck. So that's just a quick overview of some of the features available within the VR experience. And let's jump back to our webinar. All right, and back to the presentation. Cool. Hey, that all works. So to sum up, Avatour is a new and unique solution for remote inspections and audits. It is the only tool that's available today that allows you to visit a real place in real time with a complete 360 context. It is portable, battery powered, easy to use, requires no particular technical expertise to operate. It allows you to reduce the impact of COVID-related travel restrictions and save time and money versus physical travel. We are working with a wide variety of companies around the world now, and we're eager to share the word and work with more of you as well. So with that, I think our presentation is complete, and we can move on to questions, discussions, these sorts of things. So Jenna, I'll turn over to you.
Yep. So our first question we received was, what about the respect of personal data privacy when recording?
Mm-hmm. So this is something that it has different requirements depending on the different jurisdictions. I think some of the requirements within Europe in particular are more challenging than the requirements in the US. In Europe, this would be, it may be difficult to use this in an entirely public sphere due to some of those restrictions. We're evaluating the ability to add some features to address this issue, notably the blurring of faces, which is kind of the main requirement that as we understand it, would require us to be compliant for the use of this in public spaces in EU jurisdictions.
Okay, thanks. Next question. What if a facility doesn't have good connectivity?
So this is an important question. I think connectivity is an inherent challenge with any sort of communications platform. We have put a lot of effort into making sure that the system will function even under sort of adverse connectivity conditions. But certainly there's a point at which the system cannot be used live. If you're on an oil platform with a satellite connection of 500 kilobits, for example, you're not going to be able to use Avatour for real-time communication. You can record offline 360 and then send that up to our cloud and then review that together in an Avatour session. So there is an option even when connectivity is completely unavailable or difficult. But in most situations, we are able to make a usable connection. We recommend a minimum of 6 megabits of connection, but we can function all the way down to about 2. And we do that in a variety of ways. We allow you to, we have some tuning you can do in order to choose the frame rate or the resolution. And if you don't do that yourselves, we do it automatically. So if the bandwidth drops, we will dynamically reduce the frame rate so that we can maintain visual quality and of course the audio conversation even at low frame rates. We're also working with a bonding capability that allows us to connect more than one connection. So for difficult field operations, we'll often send the kit out with not just a phone, but also a Wi-Fi or an LTE-based hotspot. And we can bond those two connections together so that instead of relying on a single wireless provider, you can sort of have two different wireless providers that are employed simultaneously to enable a more reliable connection.
So how much does the license cost if I want to offer it to my client?
I would suggest if you're looking to offer it to your clients on a paid basis, you should reach out to us and we should talk about a custom arrangement. If you're using it for your own business internally, we have two tiers of service. The enterprise tier includes all the features that you saw earlier, as well as more that are coming in Q3, including single sign-on, recording, authenticated sessions, these sorts of things. That starts at $14,500 annual, and there are other pricing options available. And we have a lower-priced professional version that's available starting at $6,500 a month.
Thanks, Devin. And something to add on top of what Devin said, I think it's important to think about the cost of a business trip as well, and how much you're sending people out to do inspections and audits on site. The average business trip can cost no less than $1,000 for airfare, a hotel, and the cost of Avatour a month by reducing those business trips or getting people on site immediately definitely pays for itself. So just wanted to touch on ROI quickly there. And especially in the COVID era, I think it's very, we're all looking for solutions to be able to do this, and Avatour is the space meeting solution. All right, next question. I saw a logo during the demo. Is this a basic feature, or what is that all about?
Hello, Enomoto-san. I see your question. That's experimental. That's actually not part of the product yet, but we are, interested to know if that's something that you want. Do let us know. It's something that we're evaluating.
All right. Next question. What about the cleaning and sanitation of the hardware to be entered in clean areas and maybe pharmaceutical manufacturing sites?
Right. So we're working with a number of pharmaceutical companies, Thermo Fisher among them, Asino in Switzerland, Kymanox also here in the US. And my understanding is that they follow sort of a standard sterilization procedure on the devices involving basically an alcohol wipe down. Here, for our own kits, we are doing our best to follow the available CDC guidelines, which include both alcohol and UV-based sanitization. The specifics depend on the specific hardware. The most common camera that we use is the Insta360 One X. It is not, IP67 certified, but it is, water resistant. So wiping it down is certainly feasible. And it's the same for the cell phones that we typically use. They are typically, IP67 certified. So wiping those down is no big deal. And then the mounting hardware is 100% aluminum, so it's also relatively easy to clean.
So what is the typical call length for something like this?
It varies pretty widely, depending on the application. I think for audits and inspections, these can often be quite long sessions, lasting hours, as many as 4 hours, 6 hours. And for our customers who do that, we typically will provide a kit that includes backup batteries. The limitation on session length is really the battery in the camera itself. And this is hot swappable in the Insta360 One X. So you can simply pull this up and pop out the battery and pop in a new one. our app is designed to keep the session going during a hot swap, during a battery hot swap. So the video goes down, but the audio continues. And that's a procedure that's really quite straightforward. So for those long audit sessions, they'll typically have 3 or 4 spare batteries that are charging while one battery is in the device, and that allows them to run until the battery on the phone runs out, which is typically many hours. And obviously, you can spec a phone based on the battery, so you can do a session almost all day if you'd like.
So, a similar question to that just came into that. What is the optimal setup for a live transmission to happen? Specifically, smooth visual and 3D audio with no lag. And part 2 is, can this work with a mobile hotspot device?
Sure. So the optimal setup does come down largely to uplink bandwidth. The more reliable uplink we have, the better an experience we can deliver. With the current hardware that we have in production, we're capturing at 4K, and we can capture up to 30 frames a second. Now, at our sort of default bandwidth of about 5 megabits, we run 4K, that is UHD resolution, at 20 frames a second. We would recommend, if you want to get full frame rate, having an uplink bandwidth closer to 10 megabits in order to run 30 frames a second. We are currently developing compatibility with a new generation of cameras that will operate at 8K. So that's 4 times as many pixels as our current device. But uplink remains a constraint. So we're working on a variety of techniques to compress that data more efficiently and be able to provide better perceived resolution at similar data rates. That's work in progress. You'll probably see something from us late this year enabling that. On the question about mobile hotspots, so again, it comes down to the specifics of your connection. We've seen mobile phones and mobile hotspots that can deliver as much as 30 megabits up, which is plenty to be able to sort of max out our current capture capacity, and would even enable 8K, high quality 8K streaming in the future, in the near future. But that 30 megabits up is rather hard to come by, and more frequently you see a single LTE connection delivering on the order of 6 to 10 megabits up. So our current solution is really tuned for current LTE. A mobile hotspot can provide that, and for best throughput, as I mentioned, the bonded connection between LTE on a phone and LTE on a mobile hotspot is probably your best bet today. Now, we haven't yet mentioned 5G. The coming deployment, or the ongoing deployment of 5G, will bring about across the board increases in available uplink speeds, and we expect to be able to take advantage of that in the near to medium term.
Thanks, Devin. Next question: is it possible to read paper documents with this camera?
That's a great question. We should have showed that in the demo. So there's 2 options for that. And we have a number of clients who have asked this same question, especially for inspections. So, obviously the kit, and I have a version of it here, is extremely portable. So it's very easy to sort of bring the device right up close to something that you want to inspect more closely. But a second option, and this is something that some of our clients are using, is to use a secondary capture device. So basically, the host might leave the 360 camera in the center of the room or on a tabletop, and then use their mobile device to grab detail. So you can simultaneously join the session with your mobile device and add a standard video, HD video from the mobile device, or grab a photo and share the photo into the session. So that has the benefit of not only providing a very high resolution image, which can be reviewed in real time, but also storing that image in the session for record keeping purposes.
Will you have support for more than 5 people in the future?
So that's a simple question with a slightly complicated answer. The short answer is yes. The slightly longer answer is we can already support more than 5 users today, but we don't display the video for those users to the hosts and the headset users. And this is because of performance limitations on the headsets and space limitations on the host. This is something we're working on actively, and you can expect that number to expand to on the order of 7 to 10 with full cooperation in the near to medium term. The more complicated answer is, and I saw the original question refers to live events. As some of you are aware, EMIV began with entertainment broadcasting. Our background is in live VR events. We provided the technology for the Champions League playoffs for several years running, for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, for the Coachella Music Festival, and on and on. So we have a lot of experience with that broadcast model as well. And with Avatour, we can provide a sort of simultaneous tier of spectators who are not participating. That is to say, they can't talk to the host, but they can view the session as a spectator. And we can support on the order of tens of thousands of users on that in that mode. Now that has an entirely different cost structure, and it's something that we would provide a custom quote for. So I'd encourage you to reach out to our sales team to discuss your specific needs.
All right. Any last questions?
Very good.
So I think that's it.
All right. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And please feel free to reach out to me directly at devin@emiv.com if you'd like to discuss further, or you can visit our website at avatour.co for more information. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. Thanks, Jenna. Thanks, Prasad. And we look forward to sharing Avatour with you again in the future. Have a good day.